Hello and welcome to the Slingshot Channel, to another Viking episode. The game has recently been updated. I think it's now even more cool. Now you really can choose how you want to fight. If you want to do this by brutal force, by attacking everyone, or by diplomacy. Everybody, I think, has preferences. My preference is brutal force. I admit it. Remember the 90s and the early 2000s when we all played these games on PCs and loved it? Now it's on mobile, and you know, just play for 5 minutes. I think you're gonna love it, and if not, then no, well, you lost 5 minutes. And please use the download link from down below, because then my sponsor knows that you come from me. And also you will get 200 gold coins and your initial protection shield. Well, you know, as much as I love the game and as much as I love the swords, I am really not a good sword fighter in any case. I mean, look at that. I mean, the weapon did a fine job cutting the coconut, but I didn't even hit it right in the middle. So I have to realize I'm a lousy swordsman. But I want to learn it, and I want to learn more about it. And therefore, I'm very happy that my sponsor, Plarium, actually made it possible for us to do one more episode. Believe it or not, they allowed me to visit real sword fighting experts. So I found these two guys that really know how to handle a sword properly. And I drove 400 kilometers in order to visit them in their practice room. Alright, and here I am with my two sword experts. Let me introduce these guys to you. So we got Colin Richards and we got Stefan Roth. And the two of them are sword experts. And I think, you know, Colin is more the sword trainer, professional coach. Did I say this right?
Yeah, professional coach, yes.
Okay. And Stefan is basically a sword maker, but also a sword fighter, right?
Right.
Okay.
And an instructor as well.
Okay, yeah, well, so I'm the only fool here. But I'm probably the strongest. All right. So, Colin, tell me a little bit about yourself. You're originally from England, right?
Yeah, from north of England, born in Liverpool. 59 years old. I've been running a school in, well, basically 3 different places, schools in Germany, since about 2005.
So you have 3 schools in Germany?
Well, yeah, 3 different places where I teach. So.
Ah, okay.
And I have about 50 plus students learning historical European martial arts. Mm-hmm. And I also teach a bit of stage fighting and also a bit of reenactment fighting as well. Because I originally started back in 1981 with swords and shield fighting and spear and shield fighting in reenactment.
So you're saying sword and shield fighting, so this makes you the perfect expert for the Viking thing that we're
Well, I've done a lot of it, I must admit. I have many thousands of hours with a sword and shield in my hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then that's perfect. And now you live in Germany.
Yeah, I have a German wife, wonderful, and I live near Hanover here. This is my training room. Just about finished it is, and I do, you know, private teaching and things here, and train myself.
Okay, and you also are the author of 3 books, right?
Yeah, I got 3 books.
Fetch the books for you.
All on. I'm actually the author of 4 books and a video.
4 books and a video.
But
okay.
These books are actually about Viking fighting. So we got. It's called Sword and Shield Fighting Beginner's Guide Level 1. That takes you through very basic things. Then level 2 introduces a few more complexities, and level 3 finally rounds it out. And sometime this year or next year I will be writing a series of advanced books dealing with axe and shield, spear and shield and all the other different weapons. And I've started on those. But these are my first 3. They're basically to give everyone a grounding in the basics that you have to know to use a sword and shield.
And of course, if you want to go anywhere far in the game, you have to read all 3 books, otherwise you'll never make it to high school. And you can buy these on Amazon, I trust?
You can buy them on Amazon DE. I'm trying to get them onto Amazon America, that's a bit difficult. Okay. But you can also get them through swordexperts.com, which is connected to my website, and it's a friend of mine.
Okay.
And you could order through there either 1, 2, 3, or all 3, or any combination.
Okay. I put the links down there for you.
Yeah,
guys.
and
So Stefan, you've been in my show already when we talked about the katana, right? But katana isn't your core experience. Your core experience is very widespread, right? So you pretty much know about all swords.
Ich schmiede quasi alle Schwerter und alle Waffen aus allen Kulturen und allen Jahrhunderten.
Okay. So someone can approach you and ask you, my dream is I want this kind of early medieval sword and I want it to be done exactly like it was done way back then. Of course, you know, for a king or maybe, I don't know, high-ranking nobleman, right?
Also eins unserer Spezialgebiete ist natürlich, sind frühmittelalterliche Schwerter. Die schmieden wir absolut authentisch, aus Originalmaterialien und natürlich die Musterführung ist auch original, praktisch wie es bei den Originalen war. Wir sind zurzeit, denke ich mal, weltweit die einzigen, die diese Rekonstruktion richtig machen. Wir haben in den letzten Jahren ein paar wissenschaftliche Projekte gehabt, wo wir das also beweisen konnten. Und diese Schwerter sind also hochkomplex und viel komplizierter zu schmieden als jedes Katana.
And I understand you just made a sword for a history museum?
Ja, wir haben 2015 und 2017 haben wir zwei wissenschaftliche Projekte gemacht. Einmal haben wir eine Sparte aus Beckum nachgeschmiedet und jetzt 2017 haben wir eine Sparte aus Krefeld-Gelleb, das liegt jetzt in Krefeld, das Museum, nachgeschmiedet, was also hochkomplex ist von der Schmiedeart. Also weltweit eigentlich einzigartig.
And of course, if you want one of these swords, you better save up because you have like currently a 3-year delivery time, right?
Right.
And an early medieval sword of that standard is like 30,000 euros or something.
Yeah.
But I understand you can also make cheaper swords, but then of course way less complex than this example.
Das ist richtig. Und man kann natürlich immer günstigere Schwerter auch noch machen, das ist kein Problem. Aber wenn man jetzt wirklich so eine Nachschmiedung haben will, dann muss man also schon so viel Geld in die Hand nehmen.
Okay, well I put Stefan's link down there anyway, in case you're interested in spending 30,000 euros on a sword. And waiting 3 years for it, of course.
A lot of people in Norway couldn't own a sword. They were only given to you by your chief or king.
Ah, okay.
You couldn't own a sword. It would be, you had to
I
be given
read
one.
the exact opposite somewhere, that you know people had to have weapons.
Yeah, so
nearby,
axes are very common in Norway,
Okay.
and spears. But to get given a sword was the prerogative of your chief or your king, according to their laws. I mean, whether that's true is another matter, you know.
Debate. So the first debate is about the correct size of the shield, right?
Yeah, well, I think there must have been variants, because there's variants in people, and also a farmer who never goes to fight very often may have had quite a small shield just hung on the wall, and then if he was ever called out, he had something, you know, his spear and his shield and his knife finished.
Okay.
You know.
And then the true Vikings, I understand, have been like second sons and third sons that wanted to make, you know, a decent living and couldn't because of the primogeniture, they couldn't get their own land, so therefore they just, you know, decided to go on the risky side and.
Well, when you look at history, nearly every nation on earth, especially those with having the power to use ships, first they do a bit of trade. The traders are sort of like the spies. They go out, they do trade with people, and they say, hey, they get home and they say, God, you should see these churches, mate. They're stuffed full of jewels and everything. And then the second and third sons go, well, it's a bit boring on the farm. I'm not going to get the land afterwards. Let's get on board a ship and take it out.
So you take your spear, you take your father's shield, and you enroll
axe
on someone else's ship.
Yeah, and these ships were run as an economic concern. The captain would say, right, I need 40 guys, we're going to England, and 40 guys would turn up, and they'd go, right, I'll take you. Put your sea chest on board, poof, gone. But, you know, but people have this sort of romantic view that everyone's like, oh, they just wanted to go raiding and blah, blah, blah. No, it was an economic thing. They got told by the people who'd done trading before, there's lots of money there, go.
And it's all protected by weaklings. Okay. All right, now I had so many questions. First question that I really had is, how do you fight with sword and shield? How do you do that? How is the basic technique? And they, of course, had plenty of answers. All right, so Then let's get on to a little bit of how to use these things. All right, I'm a bit careful here since I don't want these guys to chop my head off or something. And therefore, but now, you know, Stefan is having the large shield, and we're now explaining how to use the sword first, right?
Yeah. Basically, a sword is a sword is a sword. You hit with it. This is actually a long sax. It's only got one sharp side, but it's irrelevant, and it's got a pointy bit with the sharp point. Basically, the use of is to try and cut vulnerable bits. I'm trying to cut things that stick out, and I'm trying to cut things that aren't covered in armor. So a really efficient Viking warrior had to be able to hit his target. That's the first thing. Your farmer and your very seldom using weapons guy, he just swings. But the person who's actually trying to fight has to hit his target.
Okay.
And now you can see from the shield, this is a sort of average shield. Can be on the small side, on the big side. There's not much target if he holds it like this in front of me. He has to hold it away from his body, because if I'd had a spear, I could thrust the spearhead might come through by 20 centimeters. He doesn't want to clamp it on his body. Okay, so my main problem is he can deflect anything that I throw very easily, as de Grassi says in 1597. If I attack here, it doesn't take any movement to block it. If I attack here, no movement at all. If I attack his leg, he just moves the leg. He doesn't even have to drop the shield. That's the standard defense in the medieval times. He moves the leg back, and I miss. If it's held out from his body, he's got this safety space behind where I have to bridge. I have to bridge this.
Okay.
Now, there's one thing that we do have in our favor, is because it is a circle, if you create a tangent to a circle, the circle no longer intersects that line. Okay, bit of geometry for you. Yeah. So here, if I start to strike as normal, and at the point of contact with the shield, I elevate the elbow, I get what later is called, in the medieval time, a Sturzhau, and it plunges into him. Or I do a Scheitelhau. When I go higher, he's holding the shield a bit higher up, I fly over again and hit him on the top of the Scheitel here, right? So if you just turn that, you can see he needs to see me with his eyes. If he takes his eyes off me, he's blind. So as I come in, I turn it over and I hit him on top of the head.
Okay.
Right, and then if he's in this position, and I can step off line, I also have this, what later is called a Krumpau. I can strike him out here, behind the line of the shield, into the side of the head or the arm. Okay? And this angle, I have my shield here, and obviously he can't do anything, because his sword is coming in this direction. I've blocked the complete line.
So what you sometimes see in movies, that people hitting the shields with force is stupid, right?
Yeah,
Nobody
because
would do that.
what's going to happen is, if I hit the shield with force, my sword will drop into about 6 inches, and then if he turns his hand backward, that way, the shield will go, and I will be left in this position, or disarmed, and he just can do what he likes. Chop this arm off is the main thing.
In this case, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to chop off what he can see.
Right.
The final thing is, if he throws a blow at me, I can throw a blow in and then turn in, blocking his blow and turn in to make what's known later as the Schildhau or Schielhau, bang. All of these create tangents to the line. And then finally we have later what's called the Zwerkhau. When I come in, I go offline and I make the blade parallel with the shield. And if he's been silly and left his shield too low, I hit him on the side of the head, knocking him, and then I come back again, I'm going offline, and hit him here. So,
I mean, of course, usually he will be wearing a helmet, therefore you have to be very precise, right? Or don't you?
Yeah, but I hit him in, once his head goes like this, the second one, if I hit his pretty hard here, and his head went like that, and he went off to the side, I'm going to plunge it in. I'm not going to waste time going through the helmet, obviously. These guys are going to be able to, the really good guys are going to be hit points whenever they need to. Now, when I have a shield, I'll just get one.
Okay.
This is probably a bit small. One thing with using a big shield is, when I strike, I'm protecting my hand always. There's no such thing as me, this what I call the lazy shield arm. People you see in films and stuff striking like this. Well, he blocks and then takes my hand off.
Of course.
Right? So what I have to do, every strike, no matter what it is, I have it protected by my hand, my shield, and I'm always protecting my hand against his.
Okay, now that makes perfect. Never thought about it, but obviously yes. That's
because they didn't have gloves, they didn't have very big cross guards. Later on, when you get the Normans, you'll see they start using mail gloves or mittens, and their cross guards get bigger because of their shield side. Their shield type is curved and held to a bit more close, so they have to come beyond the shield.
But from Vikings, you must probably understand that if in your farm there's no chainmail around, so you have to take what you have.
Yeah.
We're talking poor people, right?
Yeah. The other options I've got is to come in and strike into the shield. Now I'm already covering his attacking lines, and then I can then plunge in here, or this Krumpow here hit him down here and pull out. So one of the most common things that I think went on, and there's quite a few skeletons with missing legs, is they would start out, block the line of the opponent, go out and cut very deep into the ankle here. Because all of his attacking lines are blocked and he can't see me.
Those guys, if you fight against them, they slice you to pieces before you even think twice. Dangerous man for sure. This is a one-handed sword, and it's fought with a shield in combination. But later on, medieval knights stopped doing this. They actually abandoned the shield and only fought with a longsword. So what I really wanted to know is a fight between a knight in full armor with a longsword against a Viking with a well-made short sword, one-handed sword, and just the shield. How would he fare? And how would these opponents fight against the other one? How is the technique from each one's perspective? Okay, so now we have a longsword.
Ja, wir haben jetzt hier ein Übungsschwert, und das ist jetzt ein langes Schwert, wie man es also im 14., 15. Jahrhundert und 16. Jahrhundert verwendet hat. Und der Unterschied jetzt zu einem Wikingerschwert, wenn man jetzt in Verbindung mit einem Schild kämpft, ist halt, dass man das hier natürlich meistens einhändig oder auch natürlich zum größten Teil zweihändig geführt hat. Und das kam dazu, dass mit zunehmender Rüstung wurde irgendwann ein Schild völlig unwichtig. Also man brauchte kein Schild mehr.
Also hat man zwei Hände frei.
Genau.
So you have two hands.
Genau, man hat zwei Hände frei. Und was natürlich auch noch entscheidend ist, dass man mehr auf Einzelkampf eingegangen ist. Also nicht mehr in Formation im Schildwall gekämpft hat, sondern mehr auf Einzelkampf. Weil der Ritter natürlich auch eine eigenständige Persönlichkeit war, der sich natürlich beweisen musste und auch noch zeigen musste, wie toll er ist. Und da ist so ein langes Schwert natürlich dann optimal dafür.
But anyway, it makes perfect sense to me. If you have both hands free, you might as well pick a weapon where you could employ both hands. So.
Ja klar, man hat natürlich auch mehr Kraft, das ist ganz klar, aber eigentlich ist es bei einer einhändigen Waffe so, dass man natürlich viel mehr Reichweite hat. Das heißt also, wenn ich jetzt zweihändig schlage, habe ich ungefähr die Reichweite. Einhändig
Bisschen mehr, ja.
Habe ich ein bisschen mehr Reichweite. Das ist also definitiv so.
Okay, so...
Und man ist schneller. Mit einer Hand ist man schneller als mit zwei Händen.
Yeah. Okay, now we're simulating a fight between an armored knight. So you have to assume that you would be in full armor.
Yes.
Against someone with and of course with your longsword, against a Viking type fighter who has his shield and his one-handed sword. And I understand that really happened. There are pictures, I understand.
No. In the medieval time, we have pictures of people with big shields and swords, and in the same picture there are knights fighting.
Okay.
Quite a few from the English War of the Roses and so on and so forth. I'm not sure about European pictures, but Stefan could probably enlighten you better on that. But basically a man with sword and shield in the same battle as people with full Rüstung and a longsword.
Okay.
Whether they actually fought man to man is another matter.
Okay, but it could have happened.
It could have happened.
Well, if it could have happened, then it probably happened.
Yeah.
So, so I'd like to, have you guys telling me from each one's perspective, how would you approach an opponent like that? What would be the best technique to fight? So maybe you want to do the start and I go out of the picture here.
Best technique to fight. Oh my God.
So, how would you do it?
Also es kommt natürlich auch immer auf die Mensur an, auf den Abstand und auch auf die jeweilige Situation. Was ich natürlich probieren muss, ist natürlich, dass ich sein Schild in irgendeiner Form wegkriegen muss. Das heißt, also wenn sein Schild hier ist, klar kann ich natürlich probieren, hier auf die Beine oder irgendwas anderes zu gehen. Also ich muss im Prinzip irgendwie versuchen, sein Schild wegzukriegen. Entweder, dass ich, wenn ich meine Rüstung habe, hier Richtung reinkomme, da, ihn einfach hier behindere und praktisch hier oben versuche reinzustechen. Vielleicht hier noch mein Schwert zum Mordhau vielleicht noch umfunktionieren oder was. Wenn ich jetzt versuche, jetzt hier in irgendeiner Form Techniken zu machen, zu schlagen, ist natürlich sehr schwierig. Ne? Also das ist möglich, aber es ist schwierig. Wenn ich zum Beispiel, keine Ahnung, hier hintergehe, versuche hier zu hieben oder ich komme hier rein und versuche die Beine zu schneiden. Ja. Also wichtig ist auf jeden Fall, dass man das Schild beiseite bringt. Und da gibt es natürlich viele Möglichkeiten und das ist natürlich auch situationsbedingt. Im Prinzip ist es eigentlich, man kann sagen, es kann so und so ausgehen. Also dann zu sagen, das ist jetzt die bessere Technik oder das ist jetzt die bessere Waffe, ist immer sehr, sehr schwierig.
Ja.
But of course you have the advantage of the longer reach. So if you say, you could keep it in longer distance and taking advantage of.
Das nutzt in dem Fall nicht wirklich viel. Das ist das Problem, weil er ja sein Schild hat. Und er hat den großen Vorteil, er benutzt beide Hände. Ich benutze nur praktisch mit beiden Händen ein Schwert und das ist ein großer Unterschied. Das heißt, er kann mich, wenn ich ihn angreife, bindet er mich mit dem Schild und schlägt mit dem Schwert. Oder er bindet mich mit dem Schild und ich kriege hier mit dem Schild ein verpasst. Also das ist, eigentlich bin ich ein bisschen im Nachteil.
So without your armor you would be in trouble.
Sozusagen.
Okay, thanks for the explanation. Now maybe you want to have your turn. So how would you approach?
My problem would be he's in full Rüstung, full armor, so it's finding a weak point because of course hitting his armor, boing, stabbing his armor, bing, just is ridiculous. I mean it's like, oh yeah, right. So I've got to find the holes, and we know the particular holes. Up until the late tournament armor, they had holes in the armor. One was in the inside of the elbow here, had only a ring mail. In the hand here, if you just let's turn around and show the camera. So you go there. So in his hand, if I could see that coming and stab him in here, there's no armor here. Mm-hmm. And then of course. He has, if he's in this case, he has another ring mail here, but it still goes straight through into the lung, and that wouldn't be very good. And of course, if I could manage to turn him, I have the whole back bit here of the leg would be, again, just ring mail. I could maybe cut into it, but mostly thrust into it, or this leg back here. And then, of course, his big problem is his center of gravity is now higher, because he's in all this armor, and so if I can get him to in some way to press in on him and somehow stop his put my leg behind him and push him over, he has a very, very difficult time getting back up.
Very much like a judo throw, right?
Yeah, yeah, and
yeah.
And I have seen people in armor have put themselves on the floor by lifting their arms up to cut very quickly and going over the center of gravity and falling backwards, people who are not very experienced. And so this moving in armor is a skill that you have to learn. and also if I get him at the wrong position and can push, he will fall over. So
a good way to attack would be simply to run him over?
Well, I would hit him. I would be more like inclined to try and do this and get behind him, or even one thing to do would be to give him the shield, throw the shield in his face, if I can get behind, and then try and throw him.
Wiederum ist es natürlich aber auch so, wenn ich eine Rüstung anhabe und die Schläge abbekomme und habe einen guten Stand, merke ich das so gut wie gar nicht. Das nimmt man gar nicht wahr. Okay.
Yeah, and of course one more hole would be through the visor into the eye, but again, I mean doing this while he's moving and while there's a fight going on. So I have, for me, I've got to either be very accurate, find a hole in the armor, or be good at wrestling and get in and throw him, or I have to be adventurous and do something weird, which probably won't work.
Okay.
So, and again, with everything to do with martial arts, it's not really the weapons; it's the man behind the weapons and their experience with every situation.
Of course. So again, I think the answer is that depends on how good of a fighter each of these men would have been. And in any case, that of course brought me to my next question. How do you fight with sword and shield against the left-handed opponent? Because that would throw away all of the things that you have learned so far, right?
Basically what will happen is I'm going to be seeking a target on this side, and so is he. Okay. So we're going to sort of move in that direction in a real fight if we had space, because I'm going to be trying to get over here and he's trying to close the line. But what
so it will be much more dynamic, much more motion in the fight.
Well, no, two right-handers will turn usually in a circle. You can see this even in films. But two left-hander versus right-hander, we tend to go in a line or in a curve. Yeah.
Okay.
He could try and go around here, but it's a bit silly, isn't it?
Well, let me go out of the picture so you guys can show me a little bit how you would do it.
So my view would be I'm trying to work between the shield and the sword, or I'm trying to cross both weapons. So if he came with the weapon forwards more threatening, I would cross both weapons and work in here. Bang. If he came with the shield forward, I would try and cross the shield and sword and work on this side. If none of those, if he wasn't that stupid, if he tried to say an overhand or attack from above there, I would try and break into the between the two, shield and sword, covering myself here, look. Bang. I'm controlling his hand. So I would try and work between, backwards across, bang, in.
So now came my time. I wanted to learn the basics, how it feels like. So they gave me the shield and of course the blunt sword. And I tried to pick up a few things. So now you're going to teach me a little bit about Viking type sword fighting, right?
Yeah. Okay, so the first is the shield. The shield's big, you're going to hide behind it, but you're not going to clamp it to your chest. You're going to keep it out about like that, right? So you've got this distance underneath.
So like that, right?
Yeah, and you're going to bend the center, so the center line is covered by the edge, right? The reason that is so I can still see you.
So if I turn towards the camera, it will be like that, right?
Yeah, you can still see. You can still see the camera can still see you. If you don't do that, you go blind, and then you can never bring your shield down because you don't know if my sword is on the other side of it, going in your eye.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's actually, I can imagine if you fight like this for like half an hour,
Yeah, well that's where you learn how to use rest periods. So if you look, I'm actually, the shield is working, like I say with every weapon, the weapon does the work. I don't. I allow its properties to help me.
Okay.
So I'm not really holding it, it's holding it, and if I need a rest, look where it is. It's on my knee.
Okay.
Right.
That
so,
makes sense.
And, and you're gripping too hard. Look at my grip, it's very loose. Okay. Alright, so then the next thing.
I hold it.
Yeah. The next thing is to be able to block everything that comes in by using only small movements, because you want it to be really efficient and really fast. So if anything's coming in this side, I block by just moving the edge out, so as it's beyond my shoulder, I can't never be hit. So if you cut me here,
Okay.
yeah, all right. So I just look.
There.
Yeah. If I cut you there, you just move the shield. Not too much, just a tiny bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm already secure.
If anything comes,
Instincts, of course, say that I would go full like
yeah,
this.
and then I would go on this
That's
side.
stupid. Yes.
Yeah. And if anything's coming in here, I use the face, and I want to try and catch your sword in this vela here, this valley between the boss and the thing. So it's being stopped by metal and not wood. That would probably mean in this case I'd go a bit too high, but it's better than getting, you know. But you're not going to hit my shield very hard, so anything will work really. Any part of the shield will work because you don't want to go into my shield. So if I strike you here, you just turn the face a bit, turn the, you know, make it go a bit there, and I will hit flat, and nothing will happen. And if I hit down here, I will bounce off, nothing will happen.
Sure.
And if I go for your leg, the prime of medieval defense, if someone goes for your leg, is to move the leg back, and I'll miss. So you only have a very small movement. The last defense that you really have to be good at is to defend your head. And so one of the ways that in later medieval is they would have these great helms on. They would put their shield against the side of the helmet. I can still see you, but it's stable. So if you're cutting from my head, I just do this. So if I cut from your head, no, don't bend your head into the shield.
Okay.
Put your shield on.
Like
So as I cut and still see me, bang, nothing's going to happen, and I can't hit you in the head. And then the other use of the shield is any cut you make, you protect your hand. So it doesn't matter what, you never see my hand ever. Even if I cut over here, you won't see my hand. If I do a Zwerkau, bang. If I do a Sturzau, it comes in right at the
It's
end.
actually amazing how little this shield moves. I mean, the entire range is like really from here to here and from here to here, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Very, very
tiny,
small.
tiny space.
That brings your efficiency very high. And the only other thing you can use you want to learn with the shield is if someone's got their shield out, is to take their shield here and come behind it. So if I'm holding my shield a bit too flat, you hit one side of it with the edge. Go on, step in.
So like this.
Then, it comes around and then you hit you.
Yeah, that is the problem because it's pivoting really easily, right?
Yeah, you're using the natural strength of the wrist. The natural strength of the wrist is strong if you push the top of the shield. It's normal. If I push here, your strong wrist. If I push here, your wrist is weak.
Yes, very weak.
And you use it. So if you thrust into this side,
Like
with your short sword,
okay, like what?
push and thrust, thrust, you see? Then I can turn the shield because you make it turn. I don't turn it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then there's a couple of other fancy techniques where you could just
of course.
kick and
makes
all that
sense.
sort of stuff. And
But kicking your spars, you're exposing your leg somehow.
yes,
So
you're going to
it's-
cut my leg off. There's other stuff like just slipping this in.
Yeah.
That's it. Now the sword,
Okay.
what I would say with the sword is you always have to, because it's such a difficult, you have to learn some techniques which change the geometry of your sword blade so it comes past the edge of the shield. And I call it the tangent. So if I'm striking here, I want, there you see,
Yeah.
there's this, or here. Now, you have no defense to these.
No,
Here,
because they only lift it to a
here.
certain point.
And then if you lift, bang,
Yeah.
down here. And then the last one is this called the shield how, or the shield how maybe, when it comes in there. And there.
Yeah.
So you try one of those, try
Okay, so I go like this,
this, and then over. Yeah. And if you're using the point, it goes in my eye. If you flick it high, it hits with the blade on the head. And the Germans have terms for that later. Scheitelhau, Krumpfhau, Schielhau,
Yes, I heard
Zornhau.
those terms before.
Yeah.
And
And that's it. So that's the way I would teach you. Teach you these different types of cuts to make and how to protect yourself with the shield. And then once you've learned those two, you go and fight someone.
So what I learned is hold the shield away from you and make sure that you can really only see your opponent a little bit. Most of your left side is covered by the shield. And don't move it far, just a little bit, not very far. And you know, if he angles for your leg, just remove the leg. Don't try to use the shield because then he's gonna chop your head off. And of course, always cover your hand. So never show your hand and your unprotected arm to the opponent, so that you can fight like that. It is an interesting and actually very basic thing. Okay, there's one thing I learned today, guys. I would stand no chance against him or him, let alone against the two of them together. But then again, wait until I get my slingshot out. Thanks, guys. It was really a really fun day and I learned a lot.
Well, thanks for inviting us to come and do this video. I've really watched your video channel a lot and it's so impressive. I really enjoyed it.
Hey,
keep it up.
And I hope you enjoyed it too, because that's it for today. Thanks and bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, super,
Great.
guys.
Nice to
That was
work with you.
wonderful.
And you again, Alvin.
All right, I'm back home again for my little trip, and I have one little request for you. Please download the Vikings game. I can guarantee it's a fun game, and it's all about Vikings, just like this episode. You know, these guys actually make it possible that I can continue to run this channel, even though I get almost no more money from YouTube. Anyhow, that would be great. Thanks.